Good morning. Welcome to Escoffier Online. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I'm going to be making ricotta cheese. This is a really popular cheese in the Italian cuisine. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it around the store. You know, it's used to make lasagna, raviolis, even some desserts like a ricotta pie or cannolis. And today I'm gonna show you how easy it is to make some cheese. We're gonna start by heating up some of my milk here. I'm using about a gallon of whole milk. And we want to heat this milk up to 180. Be careful not to, go over that because it's got a, temperature is really sensitive when we're making cheese. And then I'm going to be adding some buttermilk here. And also, I got some lemon juice just in case the curds don't work too well with the buttermilk. We can also add some more acid. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but cheese making has been around for thousands of years. There's evidence that, European cultures, Mediterranean, and also in the Middle East, there were records that that indicates they were making this cheese, and maybe it was they found out how to make this by accident. In the old days when people had to move around with the animals to go and find better grazing for them, they use skins from animals to carry their foods or maybe drinks, and maybe one of these times they use the stomach from an animal, which this is what causes the rennet in the stomach of an animal, which is a young. It could be a young, from a sheep's stomach or a goat or even a cow or a camel. All mammals have this enzyme in their stomachs that helps, coagulate milk when they're babies. And this is how, they're able to drink milk, and this enzyme turns into solid. So they are able to extract all the proteins and be able to drink this milk. And it's more common in baby animals. And nowadays, they're still being used. You can find tablets that are made from the stomach of an animal. They extract this liquid, and I remember when I was growing up in the farm, they used to take the stomach from maybe a baby goat or a sheep or a cow, and they would dry it up with sea salt and make it dry it up in the sun, and the salt would dehydrate the stomach itself, and then they would take a little piece and soak it in water, and this liquid, it was added to the milk, in turn would make it into curls. We're making cheese. Now we're using a little different process. You can use any acid. Also, there's some vegetarian enzymes that you can use to coagulate milk. For those people that are vegetarians, if you go to a cheese store where they have all the supplies to make cheese, you're able to find this. That's not from an animal product, but it's from plants. So you can buy it, and it's like a rennet that we'll use to make cheese. And let's check the temperature of my milk. I don't want to get it too warm. It should go up to 180. And like I said, there's different types of cheeses out there. They're classified as soft, semi-soft, hard cheese, semi-hard, and really hard cheese. It's independent on the climate. A lot of hard cheeses are really salty. Well, that's because you have to preserve the cheese in some way. And as we talked about before, when we did our salt, lecture, salt is a good preservative, so it kind of abstracts all the moisture from cheese. That's going to help the cheese to be more shelf stable, and that way that people can use it later on. So this is a good way that people in the old days used to use milk. Since milk's really spoils really quick, but once you make it into cheese, it could be dry and it could be used in a later date. And also the cold climates in European countries are able to you're able to make some soft cheeses that really don't require a lot of moisture to be extracted from them. So that's how you have the soft cheeses like goat cheese and other cheeses like mascarpone cheese. There you are able to keep them in with a lot of moisture content, and that way you can because it's cold and it can stay in the refrigerator for a longer time, and you're able to use it. On the other hand, like Parmesan cheese is really salty. That's because it has to be you add salt to help it, shelf life, extend the shelf life of the cheese, and you're able to use it in a later date. That's why it's the cheese is pretty salty, because it helps them to preserve the cheese. And this is what it was done in the old days. People would make cheese and take it with them, and that way they were able to use the product from the milk, for their food supplies, and that's how it all began. And nowadays, I mean, there's hundreds of types of cheese. You go to the store, there's some really expensive ones. And I mean, now I'm going to show you how to make your own at home. If you don't want to buy it, it's okay too. You can buy it and make some really wonderful cheeses. But if you want to try to do this at home, it's really simple. So I want to, kind of get my milk up to temperature. It's getting warm now. And be careful. You want to stir your milk every now and then. That way it doesn't burn in the bottom of the pot. If you guys have any questions, make sure to send it to me along the way. I like when you guys ask questions. It's really nice. Want to make sure you get the milk heated throughout. It's only about 100 right now, so we're gonna keep. And then, I mean, you can make this cheese, and you want it. I mean, I'm gonna show you how to drain it over. You know, like once it curls, and you want to drain it, and you can, you know, drain it in the refrigerator and serve it over like the next day. Use it, you know, for make whatever you want. I mean, this cheese is very, you know, you can have a lot of uses for making for ricotta cheese. One thing is like, you know, lasagna. It's a big thing that in Italian cuisine we use, you know, ricotta cheese to make lasagna or raviolis, and I mean, you can do all the other things. Stuff some chicken breast with it. It's a lot of uses for cheese, and I mean, nowadays there's some really, you know, fancy cheeses out there, some expensive ones, and they all have different process of making cheeses. So that now every cheese is made the same, you know, and some cheese makers still use, you know, the natural process. But like I was talking about, the stomach of a baby goat, could be a sheep or a baby cow. That, you know, they still use that. But nowadays they have like this tablets that you can buy at the store, and you can still, you know, it's an easy way to do them. But again, if you wanna, you know, it's hard to get like, you know, the stomach of a cow nowadays. You know, it's hard. So most of the time you're gonna see tablets. So you like, it's like a little white tablet you break down, and some milk, you dissolve it, and then you add it to the milk itself. So we want to check the temperature often, so make sure it gets to 180 before we add our buttermilk in here. It's getting there little by little. Make sure you stir the milk so it gets, you know, heated throughout. I remember when I was a little kid, I grew up in the farm. Most of you guys know. And my father used to make cheese. They had this, you know, this cheese room, I call it, because I was the one that had to clean it up at the end of the day. And I had to, like, you know, scrub it really nice, tables, and they had this big, like, stainless steel tanks that, you know, where he would make the cheese. And I, you know, honestly, I didn't really pay that much attention because he was the one in charge of this. I only got to clean it, but it was kind of nice to, you know, to see sometimes the way, you know, the way it was done. And I kind of learned some things, but I didn't realize I was going to be, you know, using it someday along the way. Okay, let's see, it's coming along. If you got, like, you know, a gas stove, it's going to be much quicker than using an electric stove. But for me, it's all I have right now, so I have to, you know, kind of wait until it gets nice and warm. We're almost there. And you can also use like 2% milk. I use whole milk right now to make this batch, but if you want to use like a 2% milk, which has a lower fat content, that's fine too, whatever you like. I think we have a question over here. Can you use this? The question was, can you use skim milk? And the answer is yes, you can use skim milk, and it's going to make it lighter. You know, the cheese is going to be lighter, but, you know, again, it's just whatever you wanna do. You can use the skim milk to make it like a low fat, you know, cheese, which is going to be good. Okay, somebody wants to know the temperature I have to heat up the milk and how high the heat. I mean, right now I have it at number 7, and the temperature of the milk should get to 180, because once we add the buttermilk in here, it's going to drop, and we want to bring it back up to 180 again. So it's going to start to like separate the curl. It's going to be, you're going to see wee, like, you know, yellowish liquid, and then that's going to, you know, also I'm going to add some lemon juice to kind of help the curling process. You can also use vinegar. Some recipes call for vinegar, which is an acid, which also is going to help, you know, coagulating process. of the cheese. Also, I have to add some sea salt here. I add about 1 tablespoon of sea salt to the milk. And be careful, you don't want to burn the milk in the bottom of the pot, so make sure you, keep the flame. If you have using like a gas stove, don't put it on high, put it on low. And this electric one's, well, will burn, but you just want to kind of keep mixing the milk so it doesn't burn in the bottom. You don't want to have, burnt taste in the cheese. It won't work. It's easy. At the same time, it's a little complicated because every cheese is made a different way. So, there's a lot of different cheese you see out there, and every cheese has a different process. So, some I use, molds too. Like, nowadays we're able to, put mold in cheese to, enhance the flavor, like blue cheese or gorgonzola. You see that, they inject some mold into the cheese, which helps them to get a different flavor as well. And it's not bad for you. It's a good mold. I mean, there's bad molds and healthy molds, so it's not cause any harm in the human when you consumption. So that's why they do that. Now some use like ashes as well, like brie cheese. It's got as you can see, it's got like a white rind around, which is a mold as well. Okay, we're getting there. Takes a little longer than I usually do when I make it at the restaurant, because we have gas stoves and much quicker. But this one, just bear with me, it's coming along. You want to make sure you do it right, or you don't want to rush things. You gotta have some patience when you're making cheese. Okay, we're almost there. Few more minutes. We should be ready to add a buttermilk to our milk here. I believe we have a question over here.
How much milk are you using and how much buttermilk are you going to use?
The question was how much milk I'm using right now and how much buttermilk I'm going to add. I'm using 1 gallon of milk, and I'm using 1 quart of buttermilk. And also I'm going to use juice from 1 lemon. We're going to have the recipe along with the video. It gets uploaded later on. So if you guys want to, try to make this at home, it's got, instructions and also the ingredient quantities in there as well. So as you can see, it's really simple. It's not that complicated. So you're going to have a lot of fun, making your own homemade cheese. Okay, we're almost there. Another 2 to 3 degrees. We're getting to 180, which should be, temperature we want to keep the milk on. Okay. Okay, now it's 180. Yes, we have another question here.
Could you add other flavors into the milk, such as thyme or pepper? Or is there anything you recommend?
Somebody wants to know if we can add some different flavors to the milk, like thyme or pepper. Well, you don't want to do add the flavors right now. You can add them, once the cheese is made. As you can see, there's some cheeses, like you can find in the stores, like with different flavors. We do that when we have the cheese already done. Then's when we add the different flavors to flavor the cheese. As you can find some cheese with like some pepper, some herbs. The way it's done, you add the flavors once the cheese is done. Now at this point. Okay. Now when you can see the milk is already starting to curl. You see that? We want to bring the temperature back up to 180 again, and the milk is going to start to curl. As you can see that. And this is going to help even better when I add in the lemon juice, which is an acid. Now we're going to check the temperature. You can see it's starting to separate. You're going to see it's like a clear liquid, like yellowish, which is the whey that's left behind when we make cheese. So we want to keep it on and bring the temperature back to 180 because it dropped when we added the cold buttermilk in there. But as you can see now, it's starting to separate really nice. If you let it go, all the solids are going to settle to the bottom, and you're going to see the clear whey on top of the pot. And with some cheeses, you don't have to heat up the milk. I remember my dad; he never heat up the milk. He just wait until like when we milk the cows, the milk is warm, obviously. So we kind of let it cool off, and we take all the cream, it rises to the top, all the fat. So they would skim the milk, and then they would add it, they run it. It was like a liquid, like I said before. They soaked the stomach from a baby cow, and water. And would add the liquid to the milk without heating it up, and then it would take a couple hours or sometimes longer to coagulate. Then they would like kind of break it up in small chunks, and then they would drain it and strain it from there. So as you can see now, this is all the whey from the milk. Now you can see like it's starting to curl. So every cheese got its own unique, process. They're not made the same. Okay, now I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to let it go a little more. Go back to 180. Now, as you can see, we have some ricotta cheese. Now we want to drain it through I got my counter here, line up with some cheesecloth. Then we're going to strain it into this. As you can see. And this is how you make ricotta cheese. believe we have another question from one of our students.
Is it the introduction of the buttermilk that caused the curdling?
The question was the introduction of the buttermilk that caused the curling? Yes, it is, because there's a lot of enzymes in buttermilk from buttermilk's leftover residue from the milk when they centrifuge the butter from there, and that's what causes it. Also the lemon juice too. And there's some recipes that you don't even need to add buttermilk. You can just add lemon or maybe another acid like it's vinegar, and that would cause the same effect. As you can see now we have ricotta cheese, and it was very quick and fast and easy to make. And now once it drains, if you want to add a little more salt, if it's not salty enough for you, you can do that too. Now you can see this like yellowish liquid. This is the whey from the milk. Anybody else has another question before we wrap this up? Now you can drain this for a couple hours, and then refrigerator. You can leave it overnight in the refrigerator, draining as well, because you want to drain all the liquid from the curls, and you're gonna have a solid cheese, dryer that you can use for wherever you want. So I wanna just scoop some from here. Now it's literally runny. It's got a lot of liquid in here still. But I just want to show you what it looks like. It's going to be, once we're done draining, it's going to be a lot more drier. There's going to be like no liquid. Now, right now you can see a lot of liquid in here in the bowl because it's still really, full of liquid in there. But once it drains, it's going to be really nice and dry. You're going to be able to work with it much better. So this is what it looks like when you have your ricotta cheese already done. And I want to thank you for joining me this morning. And see you next week for another interesting topic.